Hey, it's Kevin Tobel with GigaOhm, and today I want to show you the inPulse smartwatch from Alerta. Let me tap that open so you can see that color OLED display. This smartwatch works with some Android phones and I believe nearly all BlackBerry phones using the OpenWatch open source software. You can see it's a pretty big watch. Let me compare it to, say, my Google Nexus 1 in terms of thickness. It's pretty thick, it's pretty big. But then again, it gives you a lot of information on a small screen. Let's take a closer look and see how this watch works, what it can do, and what it can't. Okay, let's take a closer look at the inPulse smartwatch. This goes for $149 in silver, $199 in black. It's got a beautiful color OLED display. I like that. On the left-hand side, it has this little rubber cover. You take that off and you end up with a micro USB port that's used to charge the device. I'm not too keen on this little rubber cover though, because if you drop it or lose it, like I just did, it's gone, which doesn't lead to a nice look, and you definitely want that jack protected. On the other side, we've got just one button. There are two ways to use that button. You tap or tap and hold to navigate through the menus on the phone. Obviously, it shows the time at all times, and again, it gets that time and actually all of its information from a smartphone. So you have software on the phone, and then you have a Bluetooth wireless connection between the two devices. And when you get information on your phone, it actually pushes it wirelessly to your wrist. It comes in handy to, say, triage your email, see who's calling, see who just texted you. And you can do that without taking the phone out of your pocket, which is it's actually very handy. It's a good way to triage notifications. So I'd mentioned it's kind of thick. Let's take a look at the MetaWatch, which is another smartwatch I reviewed a few months ago. And you can see the MetaWatch on top is a little bit thinner. Compared to my Google Nexus 1 handset, the watch is pretty thick. And same with an iPhone 4S with the bumper cover on. So it's a good chunk on your wrist. I mean, I'll put it on my wrist right now, not do the little buckle strap right now. You can see it takes up most of my wrist. And bear in mind, I'm about 120 pounds, 5'5", so I'm certainly not the biggest person on the planet, but it takes up all of my wrist, so it's noticeable. I will say that. It's actually pretty light though for its size, which has surprised me. So going back to the phone part of it, because that's really the software on your phone is what drives most of everything here. So let me get to the app. This is the inPulse app. You can go to their app store. There's bunches of apps in there, bunches of watch faces. I did notice that when I tried to install a new watch face or an app, it worked the first time and then it just got hosed up on the second time. So repeatedly I'd have to shut down both devices and then install an app after turning them back on. I don't know why that is. It just seems a little glitchy. It may work better on BlackBerry. Your average everyday consumer, they're not likely to have that kind of patience, so I'd like to see that get worked out in a future update. Let's see, there's bunches of apps and games and so on. I know there's an app in there to control iTunes on a Windows PC, for example. I think some handy stuff in there. Notification settings is really where I focus most of my time, because this tells the watch and the phone which email messages, Twitter settings, and SMS, caller ID, calendar, and Google Talk notifications to send over to my watch. It's all configurable, which is handy. So I've got a couple of messages, test messages in there already. Let me see if I can grab one. Okay. Again, I'm just tapping to go through, and then when I find something I want to do, I just tap and hold. So there's a test message right there. Let me see if I can... You can tap it again to see the rest of the message. Again, I can't respond to it, I can't delete it or anything like that. There's no way to have good input on our wrist just yet. Perhaps with what Apple's doing with Siri or Google's doing with voice actions, maybe someday we'll have that. Let's see what else I have. So I had received a test phone call. So that's what would have come up when my phone was ringing. I can decide, you know what, I don't want to talk to anybody from there right now. I'm not even going to bother taking out my phone. I'll continue doing what I'm doing. Let's go back. Here's what a test message looks like from SMS. Wow, what an awesome watch. Well, it does work as a watch, and then some. It's pretty nifty. So it comes in handy. Remember, though, that everything is being driven from your phone. So you have to have a Bluetooth connection, which can reduce the battery life on your phone if you don't normally run the Bluetooth radio. This battery lasts for 24 hours when connected and 40 hours when not connected, so that's not a problem. You'll have to charge this every day. Connection-wise, it holds a pretty good connection. I had a problem with the Sony Sony Ericsson Live View rather, because after about a meter of being apart from the phone, it would lose the connection, and it was just a total hassle to reconnect. The MetaWatch was the other end of the extreme. I've been 80 feet away and have been able to stay connected to a phone. Here, I've been topping out around 20, 25 feet, and to be honest, that's more than adequate, because typically my phone is in my pocket, and I'll have it on my person, so I really just need it in my little area of personal space. If I leave the phone on my desk and walk away, then the inPulse will still be okay for 20 feet, maybe more. Not too bad. So I do like it. I like the concept. I'm a big fan of the smartwatch and glanceable displays. There's some glitchiness here that, I don't think that most mainstream consumers would appreciate. But if that gets resolved, and I could see this type of watch taking off. It all depends on if people are ready for the concept of having glanceable information on their wrist. For now, there's a couple contenders in the space. The Live View I would not recommend. The MetaWatch I certainly would. And even with the glitchiness, I'd say this is worth a look to people who have patience and don't mind mucking about with their phones. Android users, by and large, typically fit that bill. So maybe worth a look, especially if the inPulse folks, clean that up and make the software run 100% foolproof. So that's it for the inPulse watch, and I think we're going to see a lot more of these glanceable displays in the future.